Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, more about plunder than peace. Congolese Nobel laureate Denis Mukwege slams the US-brokered peace deal meant to map a way out of the rebel conflict ending his country. His concerns come as Human Rights Watch warns that militants brutalized Uvira civilians during the occupation of their city. Also, once dominant in Senegal, France is now being overtaken by China and Turkey as they emerge as the country's leading investors reshaping major infrastructure. We take a closer look. And a worldwide star, so we take a squint at the stellar career of South African sensation Tyla. After wowing at the Met Gala this year, the two-time Grammy Award winner is set to represent her homeland at two opening ceremonies for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the US. But first, Nobel Peace Prize winning Dr. Denis Mukwege has called out a US-brokered peace deal in his homeland of DR Congo aimed at ending a rebel conflict that has deepened over the last year. Washington brokered the agreement between Kinshasa and Rwanda, which has backed the M23 fighters that have seized territory in eastern DRC since last January. Now, the negotiations haven't stopped clashes between soldiers and the M23, but did include conditions giving the US access to Congolese minerals. Mukwege says that shipments have already started leaving, but his people are still losing out. He slammed the deal as being predatory and primarily serving only the personal ambitions of President Félix Tshisekedi and President Donald Trump.
When these deals are made to protect individuals or to preserve their power, it's often the general public which loses out. And I believe that is no longer acceptable. That is simply taking Africa back to the era of slavery and colonization, and that is unacceptable. It is surprising to see how the international community can continue to be indifferent to the suffering of the Congolese people. And what we're calling for is to be treated in the same way as other peoples.
Well, last week, rebels withdrew from some parts of South Kivu, including the city of Uvira. But Human Rights Watch says that it's spoken with many of those who lived under the occupation and has logged dozens of awful accounts of execution, sexual abuse, disappearances, all allegedly at the hands of the M23 and Rwandan soldiers. I'm joined now by Clémentine de Montjoie, who's one of the authors of that report. Clémentine, thanks so much for making the time to speak to me. I know that you arrived in Kinshasa just today. So first of all, give us a bit more of a sense of who you spoke to get some of these chilling numbers out.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. So Human Rights Watch, we were able to conduct the first on-the-ground investigation into abuses that occurred during the occupation of Uvira in March this year. We interviewed over 100 people, including victims, witnesses, survivors, who told us what happened. And it quickly became quite clear that after the M23 and Rwandan forces had entered the city and taken control, they not only shot at fleeing civilians, including people who were trying to get to the Burundian border just a few kilometers away. But then they also started carrying out door-to-door searches, pulling out men and boys and executing them. We were able to visit the house of one house where this occurred, and 4 brothers aged between 16 and 23 were shot dead. We spoke with the 12-year-old brother who survived despite being shot and stabbed in the leg with a bayonet. We also spoke, for example, with a woman whose 7-year-old daughter was shot in the stomach and died because she was trying to protest as her father was being taken away by the M23. But even after the early days, when a lot of these executions and searches happened, abuses continued. And we documented cases of sexual violence and women who were raped as they were going out to look for food in their fields, as well as abductions and enforced disappearances where relatives told us they thought their loved ones had probably been forcibly recruited to join the M23's ranks.
Beyond these personal testimonies, how difficult has it been to gather material documentation that would be so useful should there ever be a position to pursue any kind of accountability for some of the stories that you've encountered? How difficult was it to get your hands on that kind of documentation?
Well, this research really, I think, highlights it's a window into what happens in areas under M23 control. And I think that should be alarming for anyone watching the situation and the conflict in Eastern Congo, because it's become very difficult to do research in M23 controlled areas. Civil society, human rights defenders, and journalists have all been targeted by M23 fighters. And it's not possible for independent monitors, human rights monitors, to visit those areas and carry out investigations. And people in Uvira told us they were very much afraid of even keeping records, photographs, or videos of what happened to their loved ones, because they were afraid of running into checkpoints and their phones being checked by the M23, saying that they could risk being killed if they were found with such evidence. And that really highlights the need for in-depth documentation and independent investigations to occur into human rights violations in these areas.
Clementine, I don't have you for very much longer, but we started the bulletin talking about these US brokered peace talks. As far as you're aware, are any questions of the impunity of potential those accused of abuses part of those discussions?
Well, yeah, as you've said, we've seen some progress and commitments made in terms of ceasefires, troops withdrawal, and the various mediation efforts that are ongoing. But it bears remembering that it was just days after the Congolese and Rwandan presidents signed the Washington Accords in DC that the M23 and Rwandan forces captured Uvira and carried out the abuses that we've documented. And so without meaningful action and pressure on Congo and Rwanda to put an end to impunity and to see prosecutions launched, it's unlikely that these deals will succeed where others have failed before them. And there's an opportunity now in Uvira where, Congolese authorities, with international support of the ICC or the UN, could open investigations, record testimonies, and preserve evidence so that the people of Uvira and other civilians across Eastern Congo can see justice for what happened.
Thank you so much, Clementine de Montjoint, there from Human Rights Watch, speaking to us from Kinshasa. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has fired his social development minister, Sisi Tulashi, as he continues to come under pressure over graft allegations. The tensions around Ramaphosa saw lawmakers walk out of a questions and answer session with him in Parliament on Thursday. Ramaphosa said that he will not be stepping down, but his critics aren't letting up.
Mr. Ramaphosa is a constitutional delinquent. He has violated his oath of office. He has violated the Constitution. The Constitutional Court has ruled that what Parliament did in 2022 was unlawful and unconstitutional.
In the 34 years of democracy, we have a president that is charged by Parliament. No matter what people can say about the other presidents, but they were never subjected to impeachment. This is the first president that is subjected to impeachment. And it's even worse, it is a president that is said to have been writing the Constitution.
Now, France was on the continent courting new partnerships with Africa Forward Summit in Kenya this week, and it needs all the friends it can get as its ties with some former French-speaking colonies are increasingly fraying. In Senegal, its economy is being overtaken by China and Turkey as leading investors. Clarice Fortuné tells us more.
This is a colossal project. Senegal's first deep-water port is being built to accommodate the largest container ships. The project is being led by a company from Dubai.
Absolute game changer for the country in terms of logistics, in terms of job creations.
The cost? More than $2 billion. The construction has been entrusted to an international consortium dominated by Chinese companies.
We had companies from all over the globe competing, including the French, including French companies, multiple. But unfortunately, they didn't win.
Nearby, another massive project. A new city called Diamniadio is being built to relieve congestion in the capital Dakar. There, it is mainly Turkish companies that have won the tenders. They have built the stadium, the train station, and most of the hotels and residential buildings. Next to it, an industrial platform has been created to attract foreign investors. For the past 20 years, China has been investing heavily in Africa, which has become a strategic market for Beijing. As a result, it is their flag that flies here. For decades, French companies largely dominated major contracts in Senegal, in infrastructure, energy, and banking. Today, they represent only 5% of public contracts, compared to 30% for China.
Now, she was a sensation at this year's Met Gala and will represent South Africa at 2 opening ceremonies for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in North America. South Africa's 2-time Grammy-winning artist Tyla is one of the world's biggest. Our team reports.
In 2024, Tyla became the youngest African artist ever to win a Grammy Award. She was just 22 years old. Tyla's artistry success started when she was young. Born in Eden Vale, Tyla Seethal comes from a modest background. She completed high school at Eden Glen High. Along the school corridors, her name appears on the Honours Board for Artistic Achievement. Her former teacher leaves through the 2019 yearbook, when Tyla was awarded Best Singer and Best Actress. That was only 7 years ago.
What I remember about Tyla was that she was very diligent. You know, although she was doing very well academically, her passion has always been music. When Tyla is on stage, it's beautiful. You just see that she, I don't know the right word, but it's like you felt her presence, yeah.
Her rise has been spectacular. This year, Tyla won a 2nd Grammy Award for her song Push to Start. She has also become South Africa's most streamed artist. Fans love what she calls pop piano, a fusion of amapiano, pop and Afrobeats.
She knows how to incorporate American music, R&B, pop, with the South African flavor. Rather than for Tyla, South Africa would not be as global as it is now.
Wearing a bunch of Chanel, literally from collectors, from fashion houses, from everywhere and anywhere. Check this bag.
Tyla is hugely influential on social media. At 13 years old, this girl is already part of the Tigers, Tyla's online fan club.
And I just really love the way everyone on TikTok moves and dances, like they just get out their chairs, stand and make a video.
Inspired by the artist, Trisha May hopes to attend the same high school as Tyla next year.
That's it, though, for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.